Okay, hello there, I'm Dennis. Welcome to my channel. Today's video, we're going to go over and look at Exe Gnu Linux, or Exe Gnu Linux. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Let's start over here on DistroWatch. If you look at it, it's based on Debian, stable, and Devuan. And I believe the Debian, not so much, mostly Devuan now, by some of the things I read. It's got the Trinity Desktop, and it's ranked 147 on DistroWatch popularity hits per day or whatever, however they do that. Anyway, if you click on their homepage link here, if you'll notice there's not even a review anywhere to be seen here, and that's all the information basically you get. If you click on the link here though for their homepage, it'll bring you here. And again, there's only a limited amount of information. Although I would, if you're going to try this distribution, I would at least read through here. If you have an understanding of Devuan or Debian or Ubuntu, you're going to get along in here fine as far as package management goes. It does have Synaptic Package Manager installed by default. Here's the references here, and we'll go over all this if we have a time for the installation. You click on the current downloads. Let's see, is that this one? Yes. If you'll notice the README here, this is SourceForge, of course, but this is their page. And the 12.29.21 is what we're looking at. And if you look at the text files, earliest one is dated 2016, and the freshest one is dated 2018. And 2018, when you open it up, it'll be this information right here. So you don't really, unless you just want to keep it as a text file and want to download it for some reason. Anyway, that's how you get it. You can click that green button right there, or you can go here and open up the Beowulf folder and click that download right there. It says it's codenamed Chimera, even though it's listed under or as Beowulf or Beowulf, however you want to pronounce that. This is Devuan, which is mostly based on now. Let me go back to that real quick and see if I can find it. Okay, so right here it is. Core system is a Devuan GNU Linux base. Previous versions were based on Debian. The Trinity Desktop Environment is pre-installed. Note that this is not an official Devuan nor Trinity Desktop Environment project. So this is Devuan. I'll make sure this link, devuan.org, gets in the, in fact, here's Chimera, the same thing that this is being called, Exe Gnu Linux. Here's the Debian that it refers to as well, down at the bottom here, the references. And that's Debian webpage, debian.org. The Trinity Desktop, now this is getting interesting to me. This is the Trinity Desktop. I was not familiar with it at all. I've been playing around in it, and I actually like it. Here's another one for the you can use the installer, pre-installed installer on the desktop or in the start menu, or you can use a thing called the Refracta Installer. And I was able to find quite a bit on the Refracta Installer, but it is outdated again. I think it was 2018, 9.4, 2018. This is the notes that you would see. Same notes you would see on their SourceForge page. Go back into the Trinity Desktop, though. This is the trinitydesktop.org homepage, and it makes for a very interesting read. Trinity Desktop has a lot of stuff. Click right on any one of these categories that tell you how to install the Trinity Desktop, and I may try that on my an Arch VirtualBox or something. Anyway, if you click on tips and tricks, another interesting read tells you about their package management, remove captions, application tricks, quite a bit. There's not a lot of information here, but if you follow the leads out through, like the Refracta Installer, I found quite a bit on that, and the Trinity Desktop, there's a whole bunch on that. So don't stop right here. Follow these links out and look at it. See what you think. I'll go ahead and say this right now. This is going to be a very familiar environment. So I've got it set up in my virtual box. I got two instances here. One, we're going to use the Linux installer that's on the desktop, and the other, we're going to use the Refracta installer. I'll cut out all of the stuff in between the actual install, before the actual install, and the stuff after the install, because I've got it set up here, and I've already been playing in this one. So we'll look at one that once I've been playing in for a minute. They're all set up, or they're both set up, with 6 gigabytes of RAM, 2 cores of the processor, and I did not enable the EFI. The reason is, let me leave that up. It would go through the installation perfectly, and you'd think great, but then when it would reboot, this is the screen you'd get dropped into the EFI shell. So that didn't work. Everything would look normal. I tried it several different ways, and I'd always end up with this screen. Now that could be VirtualBox, so don't hold it against GNU Linux. Let's get this one started here. All right. Now, first screen, you're going to be prompted to select your user language, and we're going to use US English. Press enter. Minimize this, get that out of the way here. And we can do something about the resolution when it gets started. You'll need to know where it's at, so you don't have to struggle to find it. It's like I said, this is a totally different desktop environment than I've ever seen. Not ever seen, not true. So let's do something about the resolution. We're going to go to display here and turn this. Really odd sets of resolutions there. We're going to keep that. And I'm going to tick this to apply settings on TDE Trinity Desktop Environment Startup. If you don't tick that, you're going to have to reset your resolution again. And I don't know that it's going to stay because we're in a live environment, but I'm going to go ahead and tell it to do that. Here's the installer that's on the desktop, and everything is set up with single click. So just one click there. Now, I'm going to go ahead and exit because we have to format our hard drive first. They provide gparted, and I'm going to need a new partition table, MS-DOS, because we're booting into legacy mode. All right, so we're going to say new. First one is going to be 12288, and this is going to be dedicated as Linux swap. Say add. Here's our unallocated space that we have left. Divide that up there. Say okay. I'll write that. It's going to warn us that it's going to lose all the data, if any, on the disk. All right, close. Now we're going to make sure this has got a flag. I don't know that there's even a flag there. Oh, but it does say Linux swap. So go ahead and format this to ext4. Go ahead and format this to ext4. Apply. Again, the same warning. Close it. Now we can start that installer right here. Single click. All right, the live system will be installed. The hard disk partition and formatting will be necessary. Do you want to continue? Yes. Okay, a disk partition formatted to ext2, 3, or 4, and at least 3 gigabytes is required for this installation. Optionally, a swap partition may be created at this time on an existing swap partition, or optionally a separate home. Even if partitions are already prepared, you should run gparted now editor. We'll say yes, and we already did this, so I'm through. All right. Now, please select the root partition for the installed system. It correctly selected device SDA2 in my case. Say OK. Formatting this separate home partition is necessary. Warning, this option is experimental. We're going to dedicate SDA3 to our home. And we're going to use a swap partition of SDA1. I'm going to quit doing that. I'm going to move this here. File system for root file system, ext4 for home, ext4. All right, you may enter a label if you need one, lowercase letters and numbers only, no symbols or spaces. This may be left blank if not required. I am going to leave it blank, but if you was in an office where you had a bunch of computers to your access, I'm pretty sure you'd need to label this system right here differently than your host name. So you may enter a label for the new home partition. I'm going to just leave it empty. Please enter a host name. So this is Exe Gnu Linux. Gonna leave it like that. Say OK. Okay. Username Dennis. Says no upper lowercase letters and numbers only. No symbols or spaces. All right. Full name. Now here you type in a capital if you so choose. Here's a definite drawback. If you're setting this up in front of somebody and you need a password, you need to tell them to turn their head somewhere else. So enter a password for your new user and you'll see why here. You can see it. Say OK. Please enter a root password. Give it 1234. Now we're going to use sudo. Current default time zone is set to UTC. We're going to change that. And we're going to go up one. And this is another funny spot in the installer. We're going to select our region and tab to OK. Use the up and down arrows to select your region. It's OK. Use the arrow keys again. Where was central? There it is. Now use the tab key to OK. And we're ready to go. Here it says the Grub bootloader should normally be installed to the master boot record of the first hard disk. Please select master boot record or MBR of first hard disk. If you want to keep an existing bootloader and configure it manually later, you may select an alternative location to install Grub. I'm going to take a suggestion there. All right, we're getting ready here. The system will be installed to SDA2, blah, blah, blah. Root password and passwords 1234. Another place that's going to show you the password. So either do this in private. We're going to continue. We're going to say yes because it's formatting the disk. It's asking me permission because it knows that there's an ext4 already there. Now this terminal called console, and it sucks. There's no way to resize it. Or at least I haven't found a way to resize it. Bigger console button. Huh. Well, let's look through. Well, I'm going to stop the video right now and come back when it's finished. Okay, so I come back just before it's finished because it's installing the Grub. I wanted to point this out right here. Shadow passwords are now on. So at this point in the installer, if we require a password, it's not going to show it to us. I'm not sure that's a bad feature here. Okay, installation is done. You may now reboot. Please review the var log installer errors log for any error details. The error log was copied to the installation at home. Dennis installer's errors log. We'll say OK. We'll give it a second to close this out. It should close it out. Go. Now, I'm going to say log out. And we're just going to restart. Oh, we got sound right out of the box. Now here's the ISO. Watch it disappear. There it goes. I'll press enter. Now, immediately you see that's Devuan GNU Linux. That's another feature I think I would change. unless they're bound by legally to have it Devuan there. Okay, we should be getting into, I'm going to click on my user there, or you can type it in and give it my password, 1234, press enter. And this is what we're going to get using the desktop installer, I'm going to call it. The installer disappears from the desktop, but go right there, it's still in the menu. So while it's fresh on my mind, I'm going to right click here and I'm going to say menu editor, and I'm going to go find, that was under system settings maybe. Live session installer. There. Yep, that's what we want. So all you got to do is open up the menu, highlight whatever it is by left clicking on it once. You can right click and say delete. Go right here. This is most important. Go right here and click save and close out. Now it should be gone. It's right here under system. That's different. The Refracta to USB, that's different there. So it's gone. All right, let's close this out. We'll have plenty of time. And we're going to start the next one and use the Refracta installer. Again, this is set up the exact same way. I did give it a 72 gig hard drive, which is slightly different because I wanted to have the room to play around in it if I wanted to. Same selections here. Select your language. I'm going to select US English. And here we are at the Trinity Desktop. Okay, here we go. Now the installer is still on the desktop. I'm going to go find that Refracta installer. We'll start it. Actually, let's do something about the display size while I can. Peripherals, display, 900. Apply. Accept. Apply. Okay. All right. Refracta. This utility will install a running live CD or live USB to your hard drive. You know, one thing we're going to have to do, and I know this, so I'm going to go ahead and find System, Gparted. We're going to select Create a Partition Table of MS-DOS, say Apply, close that right back out. That way the installer will pick up the hard drive. Free software that comes with no warranty. We're going to click on Continue. Grub PC is not installed, but you booted in BIOS mode. If you have a Grub PC deb packages, so that's another thing, you can use deb packages in Exe Gnu Linux. You will be given a chance to install them into your new system. We're going to continue. Here we're going to create a separate home partition. We don't need a separate boot partition because it's BIOS. We're going to use an existing swap partition. Here you could encrypt it. You can see these options were not available through the desktop installer, but they are here. So you can encrypt your root file system, your home file system. You can write random data to the encrypted partitions. It's even more secure. Write zeros to all partitions to erase previous data. Do not format file systems. I'll handle myself. The rest of these I'm going to leave as default. Say OK. Here we're going to have to format and partition our disk. We could use Gparted. We could use CF disk. I'm going to use CF disk. Press enter, and we're going to give this 12 gigabytes of what we're going to call swap. Slide over to type, go up one, select swap, new, arrow down, select new, and let's give this 25, primary, arrow down to new, primary, and we're ready to write it out. Enter. Type in the word yes, enter, and we're ready to quit. Syncing disk. Close that out. Close this out. The next option, choose a partition to use for installation of the operating system, SDA2. We're going to format it to ext4. Select a partition for home, that's SDA3. Okay, great. Format it to ext4. Again, I'm going to quit moving that and move the whole screen. Now it's not picking up my disk, my swap partition. Do not choose, so I'm going to cancel. And we're going to just close this out. We're going to start the installer again. Refracta Installer, continue. Create a separate home, no boot. We could encrypt it, but we're not going to. We could write zeros. We could not do a lot of things here. I'm going to choose CF disk one more time, and I'm going to say that's Linux swap. I'm going to tell it to write one more time. Yes. And we're going to quit. Syncing the disk. Close that out. Close this out. For the root operating system, it's going to be on SDA2, ext4. Home partition will be SDA3. Okay. Now there's our swap. I'm going to say OK. Make sure you highlight it, because if you don't highlight it and you go past that step, it won't be included in the installation. So here's a brief summary of everything that's going to be happening here. This is my last chance to exit, but we're going to proceed. Configure our time zone. Now this is another option I don't believe we saw in the desktop installer. Central time zone. Next. Here we got to choose our locale. Scroll down and find English. It's already highlighted, but if it's not, if you need something different than English US, which a lot of you will, then scroll until you find it. Just like in the Arch Linux installation, as a matter of fact. We'll say next. All right, selected that correctly. We're going to say next. Keyboard. Now here you got a lot of options. I mean a lot, but I'm going to leave it at generic 105 key PC international. Say OK. And right here is a little confusing. English UK is selected by default on all of the options with the exception of other. Click on other and say next. Now if you go here, you'll find a lot of other options for your keyboard. We're going to select English US and say next. Keyboard layout. I got to go here, select English US. Now we get past that. All right, here's what it's going to do. We're not going to use the compose key, and the installation is on the way. A lot of differences in the Refracta installer, and I think you'll find the end result is even better. At least that's my experience. I love that you can resize that. This would be the Trinity Control Center, in case I don't have time to get to it before. This controls everything, and unlike the KDE Plasma Control Center, if you left click on the category on the left, on Plasma, you cannot click these. You have to click it here. Here, you can click any of this. It's not whatever. If I did anything, it wouldn't stick, but I hate that wallpaper. Go find another one. Anything. There's Trinity. Well, I like that one. Okay, let's keep that. Apply. And desktop, here's your options in there. Panels, taskbar, window behavior, window specific settings. Internet, we got all these Samba connection preferences. Well, looks like we're through. All right, copy grub packages to /target and install bootloader. This is the options here. We could chroot, which is open up an Xterm or a terminal in the chrooted installation for custom work and install bootloader manually. Continue with procedure, abort will exit the thing. So we got SDA2, SDA3, and that's right. So we're going to copy files to the master boot record since we're in legacy BIOS mode. All right, I'm gonna put it on SDA. Say OK. Make sure you highlight that. Say OK. Installing the bootloader. Take another minute here. Let's go back to the control center. This thing is off the chain. Default applications, file associations. I mean, a lot of options. And you'll see when we open up the one I've already been messing with, some of the things that I've changed already, like the single click SSL managed certificates and other cryptography settings, password and user accounts. You could add a user and change your password. Open that up, see what it says. User, you type in a new user if you needed one, or actually when the installation's finished, we'll be there. We're going to need a host name. We're going to say Exe Gnu Linux, no caps or anything. Username, no caps. Real name, use caps if you desire. Permit sudo for a new user and keep root account. Use sudo is default for new user and disable root account. No, sir. Use sudo only for shutdown and keep root account. Nope, permit sudo with a new user. Shadow passwords are now on. So a root password, type it in twice. Say OK. Now this is for the user. Tab to get me in the next box there. Okay, we're good. Installation is complete. You may now reboot into the new system. Remember to remove your installation media. We won't have to do that. Close that out. That should close. We'll say reboot. See that ISO just disappear. There. Minimize. Press enter. So that's the installation of Exe Gnu Linux, both in the desktop installer. There might be another name for it. I'm calling it the desktop installer. It's the icon you see on the desktop. It is in the menu. Or you can use the Refracta installer in the menu, which we just did. There's a lot of features that are available using it that were not available in the desktop installer. I like that a lot better. Okay, so we got sound right out of the box. I'm going to go ahead and untick that. And this is what it looks like. Same, you see that is still on the desktop. I'm going to drag that to the trash can. Move the trash down here. And again, I'll show you, let's see, system, Exe Gnu installer live session. We're going to right click here and menu editor. That was under system. Got larger. Remember, look, it kept our right resolution. So under system, we got live session installer. I'm going to left click and highlight it. Could hit the minus button right there. Well, that underlined it. Again, I'm going to get rid of it. Delete. Now the lines are still there. That's pretty cool. You can actually put a line under what you want. That's nice. I'm going to hit the save button. I'm going to save that configuration. Close that out. Now if we go back to system, it is gone. The Refracta installer is still here. And if you want to get rid of it, it's the same mode. Menu editor. Go to system. And find the Refracta installer. Left click on it. Say delete. Go to save or Control S, either one, and close out. Now it'll be gone. Refracta be gone. Alright, so we're going to shut this down and let's go look. I like the way that fades out. That's options that are available here in Exe Gnu Linux. Alright, so let me open up mine that I installed with the Refracta installer. 6 gigs of RAM, 2 cores of processor, video memories all the way up. I did enable the 3D acceleration, and we're ready to go. And I believe going right 5. Right Control F for full screen. It should remember my resolution. VirtualBox Guest Editions. Already installed that. Right, give it my password. Press enter. I wanted to show you that menu option. Look at this. What does that remind you of, guys? Woo, woo. Okay. I told you I hated this console because there's very few options in there. I installed the XFCE terminal. It does not like it. I'm going to have to try another terminal. See that it does not like it. There we go. So this would be the terminal's same commands regardless. It would be sudo apt update and colon, and then sudo apt upgrade colon, and this would be how you update and upgrade your system through the terminal. And you can see the terminal has been, you can actually modify this one. All right, that's how you would update. And because it is Debian, you do the sudo apt install or sudo apt search remove. All right. Oh yeah, you can also upgrade. Sorry, sudo apt dist upgrade, which could upgrade the system. I'm not sure. I didn't read anything one way or the other. I could probably dig deeper into Devuan, find out. Oh, I wanted what does not play nice with XFCE. LSBLK. Make sure we got our home partition right there, our swap, and our root. Let's see, df-th gives us SDA2 is the ext4, 28 gigs. It's used all the stuff I've got installed already. It's only installed 4.7 gigabytes. Very little 880 megs in my D drive, SDA3. Let's see, free. Right now we're using 234 megs of RAM. 234 megs of RAM. Let's go to settings. Let's see, was that where it was at? Let's start up here. Under games, I got 2 solitaire games that we can play. They work. Graphics, I got KDE Krita. It comes with GIMP, GNU image manipulation program, GWinView, Image Magic, Color Chooser, Color Edit, K-Snapshot, Libre Office Draw, TDE Font Viewer, Xsane for scanning documents in your on your scanner. Under Internet, now I hadn't changed any of this. It comes with this C9 network card configuration, Firefox, ESR, KGet download manager, KNet attach, KTorrent, Conqueror, the web browser, which is also the file browser and terminal, Conversation, IRC client, TDE network manager. Under multimedia, got kdenlive, Amarok come in, Audacious, I installed that, Audacity, I installed that, GTK Pipe View, YouTube Viewer, K3B was the default application, as well as KMix, Caffeine. I installed obs-studio, so you can see most of the stuff I've used, all the stuff I normally would use in my everyday life is available. WinFF, video, that's an odd one right there, the converter, MPV and sound converter. Let's see. This is another way you can update your system. You can say reload. FF. Oh look, no update. Let's search for hand brake. Somehow that escaped. There we go. Mark for installation, and then apply. Go to the packages, and you can see the taskbar. I've edited or configured it. We've got only 2 workspaces over here. The volume works. Mixer gives you all of these. What does that remind you of? I think this reminds me more of that other operating system than React OS does. All right, so handbrake's installed. Let's find it. Multimedia, handbrake. See what version it is by choice here. About version 131. Put that back out. I was in multimedia, so we got, now we have handbrake as well. K3B, DVD burning. We went through that under Office. I went ahead and installed the LibreOffice, the full suite. Under Science, the Math Formula Editor. Formula Editor. Under Settings, the ADSL PPOE configuration. And I'm going to put in some titles to tell you what some of this stuff is rather than trying to explain it. Audio CDs, I don't even know what that is. Let's see. Orbis encoder, no way to find out. About. Huh. Whatever it is, I like it. Looks pretty easy to figure out and work. Nice. Close that out. Under Science, Settings, CDB, that's for your finding out what your music is through the internet. Configure the panel, which is I've showed you, I've already configured it somewhat. Desktop settings, digital camera, file manager, sftwr, I installed that. Gparted stays in. App finder, menu editor, again, very nice. So easy to use. That's probably the easiest menu editor I've ever used. Better than that other one that I won't mention the name. Desktop settings wizard, open box configuration manager. So underneath the Trinity is open box, I'm assuming. Then we got printers, package manager, Trinity, control center, XFCE terminal that I installed. Under system or super user for file manager and the terminal. Bulk rename, system monitor. That's what I wanted to open up a while ago. 492 megabytes of RAM. Wow. Very low CPU usage. File system, home. But they've been mounted. That was under system. Sonar, I already explained that. XFCE terminal. Didn't I see this already? This is the one that it comes with. It's called KSysGuard. And this is one of the features that I don't really like. That's one of the reasons why when GNOME System Monitor was available, I installed it. Things Gparted, printers. Didn't we do that? Under utilities, you got desktop, scientific. Look at all the stuff you get. The menu, what does that remind you of? Come on. Don't make me say it. Mousepad and featherpad both I installed. Kate's okay. Nothing wrong with it, I guess. I just mainly wanted to see if it was available and install it. I hadn't really installed any archiving tool. Bulk rename, peripherals, you got print jobs, fax and utilities. cmatrix I installed. GNOME disk I installed. Here it would be on this side about, gonna say disk 3.38.2. Put that out. Under utilities, Midnight Commander, which is a file browser. Very useful if you're comparing files to files. Yes, Midnight Commander, PC Man FM I installed, which is right here. Show the desktop, that's still on the panel. ThunR File Manager, I installed that. You got Find Files and Folders. Trinity Control Center. Now here's, you got all that stuff we were looking at a while ago. Just tons and tons of personalizations you can make, configurations you can make. Tons of them. Metric tons. System menu. You got the Documents folder, Home folder, Storage Media, Remote Places, Users folders. Now I don't understand this, and I haven't been able to really figure out why. Let me open up PC Man FM. You can see we don't have, like, under Dennis, we don't have like my documents, downloads, music, pictures. We have nothing. But if I go to Synaptic Package Manager or the terminal, either one, and I do a search for xdg-user-dirs and hit enter, you'll see it's right there and it's installed. Now, I don't know this tool to manage well-known user directories. I'm not sure what that will do, and I may try that later on. But for now, I can see that the directories are there, or the software is installed. So I'm not sure. I mean, you know, it's easy to create a folder. Pretty easy. And now I got my documents. But it should be there by default. And it's not for some reason. Alright. I mean, you can just do all this. I can't seem to say enough about how this system has surprised me. I thought React OS was kind of on the right track, and another one I thought was on the right track but here we go. I think all y'all ought to get together and combine forces with Mr. Can't think of his name. I'm gonna shut this system down here. Got sound right out of the box. Extremely nice. I'm impressed. I'm gonna end up putting this on a machine somewhere. Let's see my notes here. Mr. David Hare. That's, you know, I'll include all of this in the show notes, or some of them as titles. What I had to do to get the guest editions installed, and you saw it was working fabulously. We had full screen resolution, everything. And I was, I didn't show you, but there is a shared folder on that desktop, and I was able just to pull and drop it, or drag and drop it. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. I'll make sure all of these links get included in the show notes below, or whatever that's called, comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out, guys. Y'all have a good one. Bye.